What's up, folks? It's your buddy Fatalroadie. Tonight we're going to be doing the Smackdown review. We started off with a recap of last week with the incident between Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens. We then go to the ring where Kevin Owens is coming out. He says he's going to be suing the WWE, Vince McMahon, all of the McMahons, the board of directors, and if he could, everybody in the WWE universe. He says he's going to fire Sami Zayn and make Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton wear one suit. He's going to cancel the Fashion Files, which is probably the only thing that I will agree with him on. I do not like the Fashion Files. And then he calls out Vince McMahon. After a few seconds, Shane McMahon's music comes out, Kevin Owens flips, and out comes Dolph Ziggler, dressed as Shane McMahon. Everybody gets a laugh out of it. He says he's going to put that one into the maybe column, being it didn't go all that well. After Dolph Ziggler leaves, Daniel Bryan comes out. Kevin Owens tells Daniel Bryan not to worry. When he's in charge, Daniel Bryan will still have a job as a SmackDown janitor. Daniel Bryan tells Kevin Owens that he's not going to like what Mr. McMahon's going to have to say to him, to which Kevin Owens says, no, Vince McMahon's not going to like what I have to say to him. Which brings us to our first match, AJ Styles versus Ty Dillinger for the U.S. Championship. This was a really good match. There was a ton of action in it. There was a lot of near falls. At one point, Baron Corbin comes out, jumps on the apron, and ends up eating a phenomenal forearm from AJ Styles. Ty Dillinger looked like he was about to win this. He ended up getting the tiebreaker on AJ Styles. AJ kicked out of it, got Ty Dillinger into the calf crusher for the submission. After the match, AJ Styles and Ty Dillinger shake hands. Then Baron Corbin pulls AJ Styles out, attacks him, then attacks Ty Dillinger, gives AJ Styles the end of days, and tells him next week he's going to be facing AJ Styles for the U.S. title. We then have a quick backstage interview with Rusev. Basically says in order to get back on track, he has to break a legend. Jinder Mahal comes out. He runs out Shinsuke Nakamura, says that he looks constipated in half of his pictures, then goes back to his xenophobic spiel that he always does. It's getting old. We then go to our next match, the New Day versus the Usos in a Sin City street fight for the tag titles. This was another really good match. The Usos had a good portion of the offense through most of this match. I thought it was going to be a 3-on-1 fight, but Kofi Kingston and Big E represented the New Day. The New Day won it with the Midnight Hour on Jimmy Uso, so we now have new tag team champions in the New Day. We then have another championship match, Natalya versus Naomi. This is a rematch for the women's title. Carmella and James Ellsworth were out on commentary. This was an okay match. I'm not going to say it was bad. It was okay to good. Carmella and James Ellsworth got into it a little bit with Natalya, but Natalya ended up getting the sharpshooter on Naomi. She tapped out for the win. So Natalya is still the women's champion. We then have Dolph Ziggler coming out dressed as Bayley, trying a new gimmick, which didn't really work out. He goes into the back after a few seconds, comes out running out like the Ultimate Warrior. Now I have to agree with the commentators that saying this is getting ridiculous. And I have to agree, him coming out and pulling out stuff like this with deceased wrestlers is a little bit much. He did it last week with Macho Man Savage, and he did it this week with Ultimate Warrior. We then have a tag team match, the Hype Bros versus Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. It was a pretty good match. It was kind of short. Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin won it. After the match, Mojo Rawley shook hands with Gable and Benjamin. He motioned over to Zack Ryder to shake hands. Zack Ryder turned away and walked out of the ring. Now they've been hinting at breaking these two up for a while. During the Battle Royal for the tag team titles, Mojo Rawley eliminated his partner. There was a big stink over that. So I think this is going to add on to it. There was no backstage bit between the two of them, so we're just going to have to see in the coming weeks if these two actually break. We come back from commercial, and Kevin Owens is in the ring, and Mr. McMahon comes out. He runs down Kevin Owens and basically tells him if he files this lawsuit, and say it with me, Mr. McMahon, you're fired! Exactly. Vince McMahon said that he suspended Shane McMahon not for putting his hands on Kevin Owens, but for not getting the job done. He then makes a match for Hell in a Cell, Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens said that he wants Vince McMahon's promise that he's not going to get fired for beating on McMahon. Vince McMahon gave him his word. They shook hands. After a few words that were off mic, Kevin Owens headbutts Vince McMahon, laying him out and splitting his head wide open. Kevin Owens said, "You just made a promise that I wouldn't get fired for beating beating a McMahon. So he did leave that door wide open. Kevin Owens then proceeds to beat down on Vince McMahon. Referees come out, try to separate him. He super kicks McMahon. He goes to leave, gets up onto the top rope. Joey Mercury comes out to aid McMahon, pointing at Kevin Owens, who's on the top rope, saying, "Don't do it." Kevin Owens jumps off and does a frog splash on Vince McMahon. Then Kevin Owens leaves the ring as medics and officials come out to check on Vince McMahon. As Kevin Owens is walking to the backstage, Stephanie McMahon comes out and orders Kevin Owens to go backstage. She then goes to her father to check on him. He's selling a rib injury and is declining to get onto a stretcher. He's trying to walk to the back on his own. This proves to be a little on the interesting side, being that as per Vince McMahon, he's not going to get fired for assaulting a McMahon. So this leaves between now and Hell in a Cell, which I think is in 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I think, whether or not he's going to put his hands on either Shane McMahon or Stephanie McMahon, and in turn bring the wrath of Triple H on him, because Triple H isn't the McMahon, but he is married into the family. This is a pretty good SmackDown. The matches were real good. I liked them. The last 2 matches weren't as good as the first 2, but they were still at least good. This was altogether a really good SmackDown. They kind of drew out a lot of the promo bits, in the beginning and towards the end. I was expecting more towards the end. There was going to be a little bit drawn out, but all in all, it was still good. But that'll do it for this episode of SmackDown Review. Please leave a comment down below what you thought of tonight's SmackDown and what you thought of this video. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you like this video, please share and subscribe. I've been Fatalroadie. You've been awesome. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, it's too loud, you're too old. See ya.